What's up, y'all? Back with another video, and this one's about how Boyz II Men got put on by Michael Bivens.
I was like, so Mike, can we sing for you? And he was like, can y'all do it right now? He was like, yeah, we can do it right now.
I'm like, all right, well, let me hear what they do. So they sang.
Close your eyes, make a...
So check this out. Y'all remember Boyz II Men when they first came out. It was a shocking, I have to admit, definitely one of the best boy band group of their time. You know what I mean? Like just the way they put together their acapellas, vocal tones, and just really merged together like almost like a symphony. And we haven't really had anything like that in the culture since, you know, The Temptation. You know what I mean? I can't remember any boy band group like Boyz II Men. You know, even like the Jodeci's. I mean, Jodeci sung good, you know, and everything, and some of the other R&B groups, you know, that we had in the past. But it wasn't like the way Boyz II Men came out with the way they did their acapellas. And we're going to get into that, so don't go nowhere. So make sure you lock on, subscribe, and stay tuned. We're going to get into the Boyz II Men story on how they met Michael Bivens and got put on. Let's do it. So it started out with Boyz II Men ending up backstage of a show of New Edition. New Edition just finished performing. They come off stage to the back. Ricky came out first. Then it was Ron, and then Biv. So one of the group members of Boyz II Men explains after the New Edition members got off stage and walked backstage. What he said was he seen Ricky. Ricky came up. He's like, hey, Ricky, you know, can we sing for you? You know, Ricky was being Ricky. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, yo, you know, send me a tape. Dude's like, send me a tape. So they were like, all right, cool. Ricky gives him the address, whoop, whoop, whoop. And then Ron comes through, walks by. They didn't say nothing to Ron, but they seen Michael Bivens. So Michael Bivens comes by and they're like, yo, Biv, can we sing for you? And he was just like,
Then I said, all right, fellas, well, let me see what you can do.
Yeah, cool, go ahead.
I'm like, all right, well, let me hear what they do. So they sang, Can You Stand the Rain? And then a smile when they won and said, yo, Mike, check this out.
That's what's up, man. You know, shout out to Michael Bivens for like giving dudes the opportunity to like really just shine at the moment, because these guys are probably hungry. Like they just made it backstage. You know what I'm saying? Like you just make it backstage and you're about to see the gatekeepers, pretty much is what I'm gonna call it, that's gonna be able to get you into the industry. And Mike Bivens was like, yo, go ahead. Y'all could do it now. Go ahead.
I'm standing there, they're finished, and it was incredible, and we're all just quiet. And they're like, so what do you think? I was like, well, am I supposed to say they sound better than us?
Those guys, being as hungry as they was, already knew what they was gonna sing, and this is what they did.
In about the year of 1989, it was sometime in March or something like that, and we approached a gentleman by the name of Mr. Michael Bivens.
Yeah, they were coming out stage.
Okay.
And Mike was the last one to get back there. So it was Rick and it was Ron and Mike. They were coming from behind the curtain. And we just, first one we saw, we asked Rick, could we sing for him?
He was like, y'all got it, tape.
While he was writing the address down, I was like, so Mike, can we sing for you? And he was like, can y'all do it right now? He was like, yeah, we can do it right now.
Ready?
Ready.
2, 3. Sunny days, everybody loves them. Tell me, can you stand the rain?
Everybody was just kind of like quiet, you know, within the group members, because they killed it. You know, they were able to hear the hunger in their voice. Like these kids was like, wow, you know, and it was just silent backstage. It was so dope. And Michael Bivens, like, he was just like, nah, y'all don't even need to send me the tape, man. Just, yo, here's my number. Call me in 2 weeks. I'm gonna be at this hotel, you know, because he knew like it was just like dope. And it was like so dope that it was better than their joint. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that made it this far in the video. You can support the channel by hitting subscribe, and you can also support me, your boy Antwoine Alford, by going and check out my latest movie. It's called Toxic Behaviors. It's free on Tubi. Go watch it, support, and support more of the videos on my channel, Life So Real. Let's continue with the story of Boyz II Men in this video. So that was the beginning stages of how Boyz II Men was introduced to the New Edition members, you know what I mean? And that was their ticket in. So Boyz II Men kept in touch with Michael Bivens. Every single day they called Michael Bivens up with what they're doing within the group, and they stayed consistent. And that consistency is what made Michael Bivens form a relationship with them. Before they even got put on, he just kind of formed and bonded a relationship with them over time, which after a while, when Boyz II Men kind of suggest like, yo, we want you to be our manager. And he was just like, you know, this was before Michael Bivens really even kind of thought about, you know, really kind of doing, you know, being a manager, you know what I mean? And when he spoke with one of the group members of Boyz II Men, Mike Bev was like, I mean, like, what do you guys want me to do? And one of the group members of Boyz II Men was like, you can do the same thing you did with New Edition, but do it to us. And he was just like, yeah, I guess I can do the same thing with you guys as what was done with New Edition.
So we just talking, and then finally, maybe a couple of weeks into the play, he said, I think you could be our manager. I said, what makes you think that? He said, because everything you do in New Edition, you could just do for us. I said, damn, I never thought of that.
Close your eyes, make a wish.
At that point, when the light bulb went off, Michael Bivens really just kind of put his all into the group, where he really kind of mold them into what they were, because what we see Boyz II Men as today wasn't what Michael Bivens seen as Boyz II Men when he first met them and started working with them. He had to mold them.
So I remember we were sitting inside a hotel room, and he was like, he said, I want to make y'all a household name. Remember that? Mm-hmm. He said, when you see like Tide or Jiffy Peanut Butter, I wanted to be Boyz II Men. And like Nate said, it was a lot that he had to do. I mean, we really couldn't perform, you know, so he had to give us, you know, constructive criticism. And like Sean said, it was just like, his constructive criticism was hard ass.
He had to create a look, you know what I mean? He had to like teach them how to be a Boyz II Men.
I know at times I was probably a little harsh. I'm thinking everything I've been through and everything I feel, I don't want you to go through that. So I'm gonna be your worst critic. Maybe in the beginning, they ain't understand that type of teaching, but them niggas was puppies coming into a Rottweiler game.
He was like, you singing with your head down. He said, you know, y'all look sloppy, blah, 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 blah. And from that point, he never had to say nothing to us again about performance.
As talented as they were an unwanted group in a very prestigious building. And I had to fight as a young man to make sure people respected them. And shoot, it changed my life. I know it changed theirs.
Mike has a very, very interesting way of expressing himself. And
you think?
He's a very creative guy, and things flow through so fast. He may be giving you an idea, but he's already figured it out in his head, and you're getting the back end of it, and you got to try to weed through it and get it. But one thing about it is that weird path that he takes to get there, when you get there,
you there.
It's where it's supposed to be.
You know, the fact that whether you realize that or not, that's really a talent. You know what I mean? That's what is missing out of the music industry today. You know what I mean? There's no, you know, management where they actually create a look and a brand for artists these days. They're just grabbing whoever they need to grab and throwing them up on Spotify.
We love that dude, man, and just like Nate said, like, we wouldn't be who we are if it wasn't for that man.
You know, the way it was done back then, it was like management, record labels, they created stars. And that's why these stars are still stars. You know, shining stars stay stars. Like, no matter who comes out within the group, you know, they're still stars. Whether they, you know, maybe the career didn't work, but in our eyes, they're still stars. It's just a star that's not, you know, doing well, you know what I mean? But they're still stars in our eyes because we seen these groups on how they were presented, and they, it's just like actors, they're stars. Today's music artists are not really stars, they're just popular artists, and that's the difference. So let's move on. Michael Bivens started working with Boyz II Men, and he, based on Boyz II Men's story, was very, very hard on them, and to a point where it was just like too hard to bear. And I think it's because also Michael Bivens had a lot of pressure from the record labels, because the record labels didn't see stars at that point. So it was just like Mike Bivens was really trying to create stars and change the way they dressed, the way they speak, the way they present themselves when they walk in rooms and when they walk on stage. And he basically was giving them the whole drill of what was drilled into them when they was being created as stars. Even though it was tough for the group, at the end of the day, those guys end up being stars. One of the things that Michael Bivens explains in his story is that it was a struggle for him because the record label didn't believe in Boyz II Men. He really had to vouch for those guys and really put everything on the line to prove to the record label that Boyz II Men was the next thing.
Motown didn't really want the boys. They didn't think they had a great look. They didn't think they fit the mold of marketing, front cover magazines. So I'm the only one champion for this great sounding group that no one else thought was marketable. And for 2 years, I had to develop them. I wouldn't allow them to look and be the way they were when I met them.
So yeah, Boyz II Men definitely was a standout group of its time in the 90s. The songs are still the songs that you would love to listen to today. If you're going to like a cookout or a wedding and they throw it on, it still pops. Even in today's era, you know what I mean? Like, it still pops off. And it proves that whatever your vision is and that you see, and if you mold it and put it out, it's going to work. Even though the people that you're working with don't really believe or understand what you're doing, as long as you have the vision, it works. I want to send this out to Michael Bivens. Shout out to that guy for really putting in all his hard effort and work and bringing us like these groups like Boyz II Men. And shout out to Boyz II Men for sticking through all the hard times and not giving up. And that's what's up. Boyz II Men, Michael Bivens, shout out to both of y'all. My name is Antwoine. Subscribe for more mini documentaries just like this. Deuces.